I can't help but feel like the psychosis that I experienced back in, what was it, August of last year has had tremendous long-term effects on how I think in general. Bar none, every single time I get on a plane or a bus or have my legal name tied to any official activity whatsoever that I may engage in, I have the lingering thought, either at the back of my mind or ever so surely boiling its way to the front, that this will be the cataclysmic event that leads to my unlawful arrest and demise. I seem to have severe main character syndrome when it comes to this issue. I seem to believe, even though I know it's not true, this idea that there is a world out to get me, that at the international level there is a conniving and conspiratorial shadowy group that is plotting at every turn my unlawful detention. And it doesn't help that I've had bizarre experiences with the law due to that satirical video I created making fun of right and left-wing extremists with a prop that happened to look like a realistic firearm. The fact that that video led to real-world consequences where people who were from the law had to come and talk to me and essentially ask if the stuff in that video was real stuff, it didn't help. It did not help with this psychosis I experienced, where I believed that there was an international conspiracy out to get me, to frame me for things I had not done. Ever since then, I have felt like any day is going to be the day when they get their number one target, Osaka syndrome, which is nonsensical thinking to have, but it's the thinking that I have, all because I had been stuck awake with insomnia for about 5 days, and it culminated in a psychosis where I actually believed, I viscerally felt as though there was that shadowy group out to get me, and I saw and heard things that weren't there that would indicate that that was the case. I had all of these delusional thoughts about these feds listening to my thoughts. So I thought, I cannot think of anything even remotely illegal, not even have the names in my head, because they're listening to my thoughts. And these fantastical beliefs and visions that I was getting or experiencing ended up putting me in the hospital. You know, I voluntarily admitted myself to the hospital because I thought that was the only place that could make what I was experiencing stop. And for a few days, I was psychotic in the hospital, but it was greatly reduced because I was able to actually sleep. And what I needed that whole time was sleep. I desperately needed sleep, but I was not getting it. And of course, nothing like that has really happened ever since I was released from the hospital, because I've been getting sleep since then. But it was a terrifying thing to experience, and in spite of the fact that that experience is over, it was so visceral, like it felt so real, that it has traumatized me, because I had never felt like anyone was after me. I felt, for the most part, untouchable, but moreover, I felt innocent because I am. There is not anything that I have done that is criminally or morally wrong. And therefore, I had no reason to feel worried by the prospect of any of this, because I knew that I wasn't a target. And so I would go about my day like any other person who was not criminally liable. But because of that psychosis, I ended up feeling like all of those delusions were real. Like at any moment, they were going to come and take me away for a frame-up job, for things I hadn't actually done. And it felt so real that it was like at any moment I was going to be taken to the can to get anally raped. And it was so terrifying to me that something like that could happen. And because I felt so close to that experience occurring, to that reality being my own, because I felt like I was right on the precipice of it, right on the cusp of that outcome. And because I was so terrified of that outcome, I now continue to live with that fear. Because even though I know it's not going to happen, even though I know I'm innocent, that I have not done anything wrong, it still feels real. Because I remember how I felt when I thought I was on the precipice of being framed, when I thought they were after me, that they were watching me, that they were listening to my thoughts, tracking my every move, and had me in mind, someone that they wanted to target to make an example of their power. Because that felt so real, I now know what it feels like to be hunted. Even though I wasn't being hunted, just because it felt like I was being hunted and because I was so scared, I now have the fear that I could be. And so now, it's not just that I don't do anything wrong. It is that I am terrified to death of doing anything wrong. I won't even pirate anime, for Christ's sake, because I think that they're going to be looking at me for watching an illegal streaming site that has Mobile Suit Gundam or Dragon Ball Z on it. That, I'll be the one out of the millions of Americans who visit these sites to watch these shows, that I'll be the only one who they come to knock on their door and then say, hey, it looks like you landed on this site that's hosting Mobile Suit Gundam. Care to explain that one? I don't even do that. I don't even watch fucking Mobile Suit Gundam on fan subs on one of these streaming sites anymore, because it's in my mind that I'm going to be literally the single person that they'll go after for watching this anime. It's nonsense, it's ludicrous, but it gives me peace of mind to be entirely within the law. Because if I'm not, then all of a sudden I'm going to start thinking that all those delusions are real again, and that they're after me, and that they could be after me over the smallest thing to target me, to turn me into an example, to turn me into a martyr. It may be nonsense, but it feels so real that it has a effect on my behavior that has real world implications, as in I behave differently now because this fear is always in the back of my mind, if not bubbling up to the surface and directly influencing me like in the most extreme way. I am more cautious than I have ever been in my entire life now because of this. And it's like I live in constant fear of this. All because of that psychosis. Ever since that psychosis in August of last year, I've completely changed how I see things, how I feel things. I'm the most straight-laced gentleman I've ever been. And I don't see that changing. For the foreseeable future, perhaps for eternity, this is how I'm going to be. I think the fear itself is going to get a lot easier to deal with, and it's going to be significantly reduced as time goes on as I work on my mental health. But I'm almost certain that I'm not just going to be good from now on the way that I was before. I'm going to be extra good. my behavior is going to be exemplary, because that's what I've been trying to do now. It's terrifying. It's a terrifying experience to feel like you're actually being targeted like that. And now, I may know that I'm not being targeted, but that doesn't stop me from thinking or feeling like I am. By the way, I never had this before, the Rockstar. I tried one for the very first time today with Sophia, and I gotta say, I do not like the branding on this. I don't like the aesthetic of these drinks, but these are better than Monster Energy. For one, this tastes really good, and also, if you look on the back, it has 240 milligrams of caffeine. So this is literally twice the dosage of a Monster. And that's what I need, because I've taken such huge amounts of caffeine so often for so long now that in order to get the cognitive benefits and mood benefits associated with caffeine, that's about the amount that I need to have. Normally, I don't even drink energy drinks that often these days. Normally, I drink coffee, so I'll have like 4 cups of coffee in a day. But I do love these drinks, so I drink them when I can. I try to limit it because they're expensive, but these are cheaper than Monsters, and they have more caffeine, so you get more for the value. So I think I'm going to start drinking these more often. The other thing, too, is Bang. You know, I would drink Bang Energy if they released the ones that they originally sold. So back when Bang first came out, they had Cherry Blade Lemonade, the Cherry Apple something, I forget what the other one was called, Green Apple something, and these Bangs I can't find anywhere. All I ever see are these Bangs that are branded completely white, like they have a white design all around them. They advertise themselves as being 0 sugar, and they come in all these flavors that I never liked. The flavors that I liked when Bang first came out, I can never find anywhere, and I think they've just discontinued them, which is so sad to me, because the first energy drink I ever actually had was a Bang Energy, and I'll tell that story in another video, but those are great because there's much more caffeine for the value. It's about the same as a Monster, if not cheaper sometimes, and you get 300 milligrams of caffeine in one can. I don't care about all the other additives that they put in there. They're at such low doses that they're not even going to have an effect. It's just to market themselves as something faster or more dangerous than the competitors. But Bang Energy is great, and the ones that I like don't exist anymore, seemingly. So it's so upsetting. But this is about 60 milligrams of caffeine off from a Bang, so I reckon I have one of these, and then I have a cup of coffee, and I'm going to be basically good for like 6 hours before I need to drink, like, I don't know, like a Monster or something. But I have so much caffeine throughout the day that it's just constant. Like, I'm always re-upping on caffeine, and it feels pretty good. It helps me a lot with, like, daily function. So the fact that I found a nice energy drink brand, nice new way of administering it, awesome to me. I can't believe I hadn't tried these earlier. I think the main reason that I didn't was because I did not like the branding or aesthetic for these, but it honestly, it doesn't matter that much if I can just get my caffeine fix.